Hey, it's Darryl again. I'm just gonna do another video where I talk about a document. So, been thinking about plastic bags and the environment and supermarket packaging in general. So I started writing all my ideas down, and then I made a document, and then my document kind of looks like a kind of a discussion document for a proposal. So what I thought I'd do is I'd read through my document and put it online, and then you can have a look at it and discuss it. And the idea is to get governments around the world to actually do something about the amount of plastic that's bought and sold and all our consumer items that we buy in supermarkets. At the moment, I've got an actual proposal for alternative packaging system, so I'm not going to I'm always thinking like a kind of person that's not going to tell you just what you're doing wrong. I'm going to tell you, how to fix the thing that's going wrong. I thought that would be more productive. So, I thought of an idea, and it's only about 2 pages, so I'll just go through it now. So let's have a look. I'll should be able to put my video camera and my document on the screen all at once. There we go, and that should be able to just check that, make sure that's in the display window. Very good. Okay. Yeah, I think that'll work. Okay, so um, I'll just kind of read the document and talk about it as I go. Um, so first up, we've got, now that we've eliminated plastic supermarket bags in New Zealand, it's time to remove all of the plastic from the supermarket. And the concept is to replace all the supermarket packaging and packaged goods with systematic, renewable, reusable, and biodegradable packaging. And the goal is to eliminate all the plastic packaging and disposable plastic supermarket goods within 5 years in order to prevent the plastic from entering the global ecosystem. So the problem is that even though we've got recycling, which as far as everyone can really see, recycling is not done very well. And the idea was you're meant to reduce, refuse, recycle, whatever. Reduce, what is it? Reduce, reuse, recycle. Um, and recycle was meant to be the last step. So the idea is you're meant to refuse plastic things up front, so we kind of got a bit off track and railroaded into, yeah, we recycle all the stuff, but tiny percentages of plastics actually produced are actually recycled, so we're not very good at that. So actually what you have to do is just eliminate all the plastic at the source, and most of the things we buy every day at the supermarket have components of plastic in them, and we just need to not make it in the first place. If you don't make it in the first place, then you don't have to be stuck with recycling it. And if everything else you make is inert um, or biodegradable, then if it gets accidentally discarded incorrectly, it's not going to cause the environmental damage that I'm sure that all of these pieces of tiny plastic floating around in the environment, which act as endocrine disruptors and things like that, those sorts of things, we need to stop that from happening in the first place. So nothing I'm saying is new. We already know how to do all this stuff. It's not that hard. Really, the reason is cost, and cost is just a form of costs are just kind of like a convenience thing. We just yeah, so what did I say? Nothing in this proposal is new. We already know how to do this, but we don't because collectively we prefer convenience over protection of the environment and protection of our wildlife. Um, so um, we can achieve this with glass, paper, and foil packaging. I'm not going to talk about foil packaging much. Mostly, just like an aluminium toothpaste tube. That's foil packaging, I guess. And you can get foil packaging. I've seen products that come baked goods that come in foil. You could buy a dessert, a baked dessert that's in foil, and you might reheat it in the oven. Um, and foil's pretty safe in the environment because it's just aluminium, and a large percentage of the Earth's crust is made out of aluminium. There's aluminium all over the place, um, so fairly safe. Um, anyway, any of these items discarded in the environment would have less potential for harm to the environment via chemical leaching, and also directly to animals themselves. Maybe I should write that in. And directly to wildlife. One of the problems with some kinds of packaging is animals get entrapped in the packaging. So you have a plastic bag, and we all know that animals eat these, but also animals get trapped in things. So some jars and cans and plastic shapes that we make, animals get tangled in, and it's just horrific. So we need to fix that. So first up, for glass, this will require a standard for renewable, reusable, stackable glass jars and bottles, uh, and reformulation of some products to eliminate the packaging components and the packaging. So some things we just don't need to make anymore. There's some products like disposable toothbrushes and razors, which are largely made out of plastic. Those things can be made out of PLA or wood or bamboo, so you can reformulate the designs. Glass packaging would have to be designed with automation of cleaning and filling as a priority. The jars may need to be produced with keyways to align them in machines so that the labels and lids can be applied. So keyway is just a groove or slot in the bottom of the jar or the can or whatever, and when it runs into a machine, the machine can turn the jar around the right way so that the label lines up on the jar properly. And it also means that the machines can handle it. If you need to screw a cap onto a glass jar, the machine that applies the cap needs to have the jar in the right position so that it can tighten it up the right amount. If you have a look at the bottoms of some bottles and jars, they have a little groove in them that it allows the machine to turn the thing around the right way. Glass packaging. The design should not be just designed by a committee of good-willed people, but it should be a group of companies that makes the machines for cleaning and filling jars. Like, get the people who already know how to do it already. We don't need to form a committee of people to learn about how to make glass jars. We already have experts on how to do that stuff, so don't reinvent the wheel. Lids and caps and bottles of jars should ideally not contain plastic, and many steel and aluminium lids. If you take the lid off a beer bottle or I've seen an aluminium drink can, you take the lid off and it's got a plastic or rubber seal on there. There's just some stuff that we're going to have to learn how to make a replacement. You can do a silicone, like silicone. So I'll just write that down because I didn't think of it when I was writing. Silicone seals could be an alternative. Silicone's inert to wildlife. There we go. So you would need to have different kinds of jars and bottles, because you can have food grade and chemical grade. So some people wouldn't be happy to buy food that had previously had a chemical cleaning product in the same jar or can, and that I wouldn't want that. I want them for to be different. So almost all liquids that come in plastic bottles could be sold in standardized reusable glass bottles. Hand wash soap, detergent cleaners, chemicals in general could be packaged in glass bottles that are different in design to the food grade glass bottles. That way you just don't have a problem with worrying about what was in this thing the previous time it was used. I've got another solution for that as well. Large diameter openings can be designed to allow for proper fast cleaning, and a range of standard designs can be made to automate the cleaning and make the filling rapid and at lower cost. So the idea is to make a lot of jars of standardized diameters and heights so that you can have standardized machinery that you can handle it so that it can be cleaned and refilled easily. Some reusable packaging can be designed for customers to refill the bottles and jars in a store where hygiene is not a problem. So some products that you can buy in bulk, like shampoo or detergent cleaners, things like that, hand cleaner, hand sanitizer, those things could all be just, you could refill standard bottles in the supermarket yourself, which will move the labor component to the end user and save the cost of making prepackaged versions of those. So of course, you can always make prepackaged versions for convenience of buyers who don't want to fiddle around with stuff in shops. And what did I put? Animal egress. Jars and cans and bottles should be designed so that the openings do not entrap animals. So there's a problem that improperly discarded cans and bottles, animals often get their heads stuck in them. So you leave some beans in the bottom of a can, an animal comes along and sticks its head in the can to try and eat those beans, and the animal just gets its head stuck in there, and then it kills it because it will die of thirst. And just multi-packs of jars can be packed in cardboard sleeves. So at the moment you can get multi-packs of cans, which are just the same ordinary cans, shrink wrapped in plastic. So it's just another bunch of meaningless plastic that didn't need to be in a product. Products that the single item or a six pack, they should be the same price, so that you can just buy six cans or bottles or jars or whatever. Self-reuse. Some supermarkets could clean and refill the jars in store, so this could be used for over-the-counter deli products. So like in a lot of the supermarkets here, they have a place where you can buy olives and hummus and meats and stuff, and they just fill up a container. Your salads, often they just fill up a container. You go, oh, can I have a small container of coleslaw, thanks? Then they make you a container of coleslaw. You pay your $1.50, and walk out of it in your plastic container. Some supermarkets in New Zealand are now allowing people to bring their own containers in, so they just you bring in your own clean container, they put it on the scales, they tear the scale, and then put the salad or coleslaw or whatever in the olives or whatever, put them in there, and then you just put the lid on, and they just sell you for the weight of the content, but that's doing the work yourself. Where did I get up to? This would help reduce the bulk weight of jar transport. So some things like in the supermarkets here, you can buy olives, and the olives come from Italy, and you've got these glass jars of olives that are shipped around the world. Well, they could be bulk freighted and then packaged at the supermarket in the over-the-counter deli, and that would be fine in many cases. The other thing is that I think the jars could be used for home storage as well. So if you design, not all the jars need to support this feature, but if you make the jars so that they have flat rims, like normal food storage jars that you use for making your own preserves at home, then you could just buy the lids in the supermarket that seal the jars, so that you use the same jars that are used by the supermarket companies. You could actually just use them at home. Handling. Reusable system of box and packaging for carriage of the jars may be needed. So what I'm saying is that you'll have boxes that people can buy. They could be plastic or wood or whatever, but well, they could even be cardboard. And so what it is a box that you take with you to the supermarket. You put it in the supermarket trolley as you walk around, and you put your jars and bottles into slots so that they don't bang around. And so when you're gone through the supermarket checkout, you can just pick up your whole box of jars and put them in the boot of your car to take them home. If that's how people buy a lot of stuff all at once, you want it to be easy to handle. Like, so we don't have there's no supermarket bags in New Zealand now, so everybody has to take bags to the supermarket with them. So it's just a logical extension that if you normally drive to go to the supermarket, you just put this box in the back, but the box has slots and grooves in it so that the jars all sit nicely and don't jiggle around against each other. You don't want stuff rolling around in your car when you drive home. Um, yeah, but a nice crate that you can put a dozen jars in or bottles, and you can just have a few of them. If you do a lot of shopping, if you've got a big household and you need to buy a lot of goods at once, you could have several of these boxes, and you just take them to the supermarket with you and fill them up. Um, so that will help to prevent damage. Um, so the crates, so you make your bottles and jars with a set of standardized diameters so that you can have a set of standardized boxes that hold nice multiples. You can have it so that three small jars fit across the box, or two bigger ones, or one giant one, something like that. Have a system there. And then all the oh yeah, I said that metal cans already come in standardized sizes. You'll notice that, like most all of the steel food cans are almost all identical sizes. Um, Incentives. So a deposit and repayment system for returning the washed bottles. This is just the thing. We've had this before, but it went out of fashion. I don't know why it went out of fashion. Well, I've just assumed that businesses just said it'd be cheaper if we just have disposable glass packaging, yeah, I think just are wrong. We shouldn't have disposable glass packaging. We should have reusable glass packaging. Um, yeah, for all these things which aren't, they're not pressure vessels. So you do get a thing where some packages, they might have to contain sodas or beer or whatever, and I think in some cases the jars have to be particularly strong for the pressure that it holds. But I'm not a packaging expert, so I don't know the answer to that. But that's where somebody else can talk about it. But yeah, there should be incentives so that I went I was on holiday in Germany, and we bought some fizzy drink in the supermarket, and I was trying to remember we got about, I don't know, 10 or 20 cents or something back for taking our bottles back to the supermarket. So we were just having a picnic lunch or something. So we just bought the drinks at the supermarket and sat out in the park. And then when we finished our picnic, just walked back across to the supermarket and took the bottles back. And that was great. And then gave us a refund. So, but it was a substantial amount of money. Like 20 euro cents to get that back. That's actually worth the effort. So, you know, this would mean that you know people can start a business, picking up and recycling these things, not recycling, taking them back for reuse. Um, so that would be good. And then yeah, safety tracking. There'd be design differences for food jars and bottles and chemical jars and bottles. Legislation may be required to make an offence to put chemicals in a standardised food container. However, the glass can have embossed writing and symbols for international use to avoid confusion. Now, it's possible that you could even do an embedded RFID tag in each glass item, um, or you could use an embedded QR code. So you could actually embed a QR code into the glass so that you can scan it with a mobile phone app, or you can have like the supermarket that I tend to go to, um, you have scanners. So as I walk around the supermarket, I scan the items as I put them in the trolley, and then the little scanner, it can tell me like buy two more of these to get a discount, or that kind of thing. Or if items are mispriced in the supermarket, when I scan them, the price comes up on the screen of the scanner. So I know I know if an item's mispriced, or if I've picked up some item confusing it with another one. So it's pretty easy to do this stuff. And we've had these for, I don't know, at least 10 years. I've been using the supermarket in that way. Um, they, you know, um, these sorts of, we all have these little pocket computer cell phones now. So you could have a very systematic approach. So you can have it so that when you pick up a can, a jar or whatever, and scan it with your mobile phone app, um, it can tell you what the date that the item was packaged, because you could just have all of this in a very large database. Um, and so if you're at home and you got a jar that's in there and the label's fallen off, and you don't know how old it is or whatever, then you could just scan the barcode, and it would look it up in a universal database that would tell you, when the item was packaged in a factory. So that way it can be much safer. Um, yeah, you wouldn't even have to have labels. So you could have it so that you walk around the supermarket and you scan your items with your smartphone or a scanner, and the label information that would normally be on the jar directly, it can just be all a computer database. Um, what else? Oh yeah, so glass packaging that has been lost in the system for an extended period of time could be removed from circulation. You could even use a blockchain approach to store all this data. So the data could be all stored in blockchain, and that way it would make it the data tamper safe. Um, what else we got? Labeling, encoding, and tracking. Labels for glass packaging should be able to be removed by dissolving them in water. That way they can be just removed in the wash process. So thinking of having a label that's a soluble print on the jar. So that way the every time you wash a jar, it just goes blank to being a blank jar, and it can be reused. Um, oh yeah, so there's some items that you buy in a supermarket, so, cosmetics, for example. These things can come in really tiny little jars. I've got like some little tiny jars, cut about 2 centimeters tall, which had like lip balm on them, something like that. And so those things you might want to, because for the size of what they are and the price, you might want to package them inside an additional cardboard box so that you can have enough marketing information on there, and also to keep the small jar safe, because you don't want to crack a small glass jar. You want it to be not damaged, because quite often you want to keep them for a longer period of time. The other thing is some things could be aluminium tubes and cardboard boxes. Some cosmetics or makeup, or things like toothpaste or special treatments can be in a cardboard box as well as an aluminium tube, just to keep it safe or to stop it from getting lost. Um, Ideally, you actually don't want to use glass for everything. So reformulating can eliminate glass packaging from products. So what you could do is you could reformulate a lot of things for them to be dry goods instead of being sold as wet goods. Um, and then you could package a lot of stuff into waxed paper. So you can have soy-based wax paper that's biodegradable, so that it can be composted. If used, what is it called? Say, is it paraffin wax, waxed paper? Um, it's not biodegradable per se, but actually some I'm sure that um, there's some amount of natural oil leaching from oil reserves. So some components of paraffin probably are in some way biodegradable. Um, and that's something worthwhile checking out. But yeah, you can use vegetable oil wax paper or vegetable fat waxed paper to make packaging that's you know gonna keep the content dry and clean. Uh, Most products should be reformulated as dry formulations so that they can be packaged in paper, waxed paper, and cardboard boxes and designed for advertising. Oh yeah, this would be lighter. So the idea of laminating glass is that paper packaging is lighter than glass packaging. It's a little bit more, can be more forgiving for handling errors as well. And so if the packaging is overall lighter, then you're not moving so much in the trucks and trains that are used to distribute the goods. And so that provides for energy conservation and reduces fossil fuel usage for transport. Frozen foods. Oh yeah, so some foods that currently come as liquids. So like in the supermarket, I can buy soup in a plastic sachet. Um, and instead of this being in a plastic packet, it could be frozen into portions, and then so like ice cubes of soup, and they could be packaged in boxes or bags, and you just buy them frozen in the supermarket, and when you want to make some soup from frozen soup, you just shake a few soup cubes out of a packet and into a bowl and microwave it, and there you go, you've got your frozen packaged soup. So that would work. Um, and you can freeze a lot of items into greaseproof paper. So all those things like all of the frozen mixed vegetables and meat portions and stuff, they could be in waxed bags or boxes. So I've seen pretty sure that if you buy commercial quantities of frozen meat, they come in waxed cardboard boxes. Um, I've I've seen commercial quantities of frozen meat delivered in that method, so there's no reason why everybody can't just use that at home as well. Um, it's conceivable that there are some kinds of products that can't be packaged in any renewable method, and these products should be just considered as non-renewable and obsolete and not sustainable, so they should just be deleted from the inventory. If there's no way to make a product and make it sustainable, then we just need to not make it. And so it's sort of like a tough luck thing. There's going to be some products that maybe can't be repackaged in any way. You know, it's not like there's a shortage of, there's thousands of different items in the supermarket. So if a couple of dozen items disappear out of the supermarket, it won't really matter. Um, there's some foods that are just super specialist foods that we just take for granted that because they can be delivered in very specialized packaging. So you might have some fruit that comes from the other side of the world, and to make it last, it's packaged in some very sophisticated plastic packaging, which controls the flow of oxygen and carbon dioxide and uh, you know methane and other chemicals by allowing that particular type of thing to transpire through very specially formulated plastic. Um, you know, we don't really need that. We just don't need those things. It's cool that we can do them, but it's not cool if we need to have a very wasteful packaging technique in order to have it. So yeah, nah, we can just say no to those things. Some wax paper packaging could be contaminated with food and is not recyclable. Yeah, that's right. So a lot of things. So if you got your ice cream on a stick, half the time it will melt a little bit, and the waxed paper will be contaminated. You buy a pizza, and the pizza toppings contaminating the cardboard box that the pizza comes in, that kind of stuff. Yeah, they can't be recycled. If you use soybean wax paper, then it can be composted. So people could use home composting or industrial composting, and PLA. You can use PLA plastics. I think I might have mentioned that somewhere along the line. So there's a type of plant-based plastics which are technically biodegradable. Um, and of course, there's just some stuff that's not going to be any of that. But you could burn it in a waste-to-energy plant. So I'm not very pro into waste-to-energy plants. So there's some proposal to build one in New Zealand, and it just it just struck me as being a scam. I just don't think that it just didn't sound like it was very economical. If you have maybe the very right, a very proportional constitution of fuel that you're putting into it, maybe it can burn quite cleanly. But the brief look that I had at waste energy plants, it didn't make much sense. And lastly, cellophane. Um, Yeah, so cellophane is used to package stuff. The chemical process to make cellophane is chemically intensive and didn't seem very good. And this document, I've copyrighted it, CC by. Yeah, with so there we go. You can copy and modify the document and just work on it. Thanks. Hope that makes some sense. So there, the idea, and we'll go back to big view. There we go. So the idea was just to work on an idea of how to eliminate all the plastic goods from the supermarket, because to me it just, now that we've got it, we did one thing, we got rid of the supermarket plastic bags, and we can see now that quite a lot of good alternatives have come along. Quite a lot of time people have just got the old brown paper bags that we used to use. We used to get those at the supermarket when I was a kid, so we've just come full circle on that technology. And the other one is, half the time you don't even need a bag. Like if you're only buying a few things, you can just carry it out. You can. I take my backpack to the supermarket as well, so quite a lot of the time, if I walk to the supermarket, then I usually take my backpack, and so whatever I buy, I can just put in my backpack. I know that's not going to work for everybody, but we have other reusable. There's nothing saying that you can't have reusable plastic bags, which we do. It's just if you want to buy a reusable plastic bag at the supermarket, it costs you a couple of dollars, but you just, once you've got a few of them, you start putting them back in the boot of the car, and then when you go to the supermarket, you look in the boot and go, great, I've got 6 bags. Sometimes I've been to the supermarket. We have a supermarket that's called Pack and Save, and Pack and Save has always had this thing where you can instead of, they always charged for supermarket bags. I think it was always 10 cents or something, and so if you didn't want to pay for the supermarket bags, then you could always just put your goods into a cardboard box and just carry the cardboard box out of the supermarket, because everything in the supermarket comes in cardboard boxes. Yeah, it's just crazy the amount of cardboard boxes that supermarkets go through. But really we need a systematic approach to dealing with all of those goods. So yeah, there you have it. So it's just the idea of this video was to start a discussion about how we would do that. To me, it seems very simple. Like if you just took a dictatorial position and just said, we're going to design it like this. But it's not for New Zealand to do this first. Really what you need is the larger countries that make the bulk of packaged goods. they need to have they need to have they you need to have you need to have a global systematic approach, and so I think it should be, EU or United States or China, big producers should do something first, and it would be great to have a very interoperable solution. It might be that maybe I'm mistaken, and actually regionalized trade matters a lot more. So it might be for New Zealand and Australia, and perhaps key trading partners in Asia to make a standard. Like New Zealand and Australia, we probably have enough. There's enough goods that are made just in Australia and New Zealand that we could probably eliminate, 3/4 of all the disposable packaging on supermarket goods. The other thing was that the all the all the jars and packets can be transported in reusable boxes. So like at the moment, a lot of these supermarket goods just come in cardboard boxes, and the cardboard boxes. So you buy breakfast cereal. The breakfast cereal comes in a bag, and the bag is in a box, and you buy the box, and the box comes in a box, and then the box comes on a pallet. So why don't the cereal boxes just get stacked into a large plastic box on a specialized reusable fold up pallet? These things can be done. I've seen them. So it's not like they don't exist. You know, um, soda drinks can come in plastic crates and come in plastic bottles, and the plastic bottles in Europe are reused. So why don't we have that everywhere in the world? Why is it that it's okay that the soda company in Europe, they make it in reusable plastic bottles, but they don't in other markets? Why isn't it that when a company operates internationally, they should use the best practice? Whatever markets you're in, whichever is the best practice market that you're in the whole world, why isn't that just best practice automatically translated to every other country? Um, I'm pretty sure when I was a kid, I had a funny idea that the big glass soda bottles were reused. I think, just from memory, I think you had to take them back to the supermarket. I think they refilled them. I don't quite remember. It's a long time ago. Um, somebody might know the answer to that. Um, anyway, there we go. That's my idea for improving the environment by not getting so much plastic rubbish from the supermarket. The other thing is that all consumer goods, so everything you buy in every other kind of shop, you can go through the same process. So it really should be that there should be no disposable items in the whole in any consumer goods. Everything that you buy at every shopping centre and mall and chain store, every item should be sustainable end to end. And if they claim they can't make them sustainable, then that's just no excuse. If you have a product that's totally unsustainable, then that simply they shouldn't be making it. Um, because if your if your business plan is to make and sell goods that aren't sustainable, then you don't have a sustainable business plan. Like it's like a self-circular um, loop there. Anyway, that's enough talking. Thanks for watching and listening this far, and I'll try and work out how I stop the recorder.